It was Mother's Day, May 2020. The sun rose quietly over the Colorado Rockies, casting golden light across the sleepy town of Maysville. As the townspeople awoke, the weather was hinting at a typical day ahead for most. But inside one home, something was terribly wrong. Suzanne Morphew, a beloved mother, wife, and friend, had without warning, suddenly disappeared. There was no note, no verbal goodbye, nor a warning of any kind. It seemed like she had up and vanished overnight. What followed was a mystery that would grip the nation, and take everyone following the case on a wild ride. Suzanne Morphew was the kind of woman who lit up a room. She was a former teacher, a devoted mom of 2 daughters, and a cancer survivor. On May 10, 2020, she was reported missing after allegedly going for a bike ride. Her bike was found on the side of a ravine, a half-mile away from the family home. Her helmet was then discovered days later, 1 mile south from the location where her bike had been found originally. Her husband, Barry Morphew, claimed he was working out of town in Michigan during the time of her disappearance. To investigators, things weren't adding up. There were no signs of a crash or hints of a struggle near the bike, nor was any visible blood found in or around the immediate area. Investigators also noticed that the bike recovered had not sustained any serious damage, like it normally would when a car strikes it. The suspicion was growing, and only one person sat in the crosshairs of the investigators at that current time: Barry Morphew. His interviews were strange, and his stories became inconsistent with each retelling. He claimed to be heartbroken and grieving. But surveillance footage showed Barry making multiple trash runs throughout the morning hours. As of the recording of this video, it's still not publicly known if the investigators recovered what Barry had thrown out the morning of Suzanne's disappearance. In May of 2021, Barry was finally arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Unfortunately, when looking at the case, everybody could see that the evidence was merely circumstantial. Meaning that since they had not recovered Suzanne's remains, the evidence was indirect and suggested a fact through speculation, rather than directly proving it. Barry Morphew's defense attorney argued in court that the case should be dismissed with prejudice so that it could not be refiled, as there were too many infractions involved behind the prosecution's tactics. His defense attorney stated that they were judge shopping and were required to turn over important evidence to the defense ahead of trial, which they did not. Prosecutors had been called out for not properly telling defense attorneys about found unknown male DNA inside Suzanne's vehicle, or that the DNA partially matched samples found at 3 unsolved ESSA cases. These mistakes meant that any experts in DNA, vehicle data and cell phone data analysis could not testify during the jury trial, thus excluding evidence that was said to be critical information. Therefore, 12 of the prosecution's 14 expert witnesses were excluded as punishment for the district attorney's negligent ways. The case was dismissed without prejudice, and Barry walked out a free man. Fast forward to September 2023, when a shocking discovery was made. During an unrelated search in a remote area of Saguache County, human remains were found buried in a shallow grave. Using the teeth, investigators were able to get the dental records and find out who they had just unburied. It was indeed Suzanne. After finding and analyzing the remains, experts say that the data suggests she wasn't originally buried in that location. Her body had been moved. Not once, but potentially twice. The investigators know this through decomposition analysis of the bones and lack of decomposition evidence found on the clothes. Investigators noticed the condition of her remains looked as if someone had taken great care to hide her, but the real question was what the autopsy would reveal. What was shown in the results was that there were positive traces of a rare animal tranquilizer called BAM inside Suzanne's bone marrow. BAM is a low-toxic drug used by wildlife professionals, which combines a cocktail of butorphanol, azaparone, and medetomidine, and is used to immobilize large animals. Investigators immediately looked into the sales of BAM in the area, and only one person had records of having accessed it: Barry Morphew. With that new piece of information, prosecutors now believe Barry used the tranquilizer to subdue Suzanne before killing her. On June 20, 2025, Barry was arrested after a Colorado grand jury indicted him on charges of first-degree murder. This time the evidence was stronger, and the motive was a little clearer. Suzanne had been having an affair, and did so with intentions to leave Barry. Texts between her and friends expressed how she did not feel safe alone with Barry, and was contemplating divorce. A deleted text from Suzanne on Barry's phone expressed how these thoughts had come to a head, and that she was officially done. She wanted nothing to do with Barry any longer. Prosecutors allege Barry acted out of jealousy, control, and fear of losing everything. According to the new indictment, Suzanne was killed on May 9, one day before she was reported missing. This is believed to be the case, as her phone last pinged at 4:23 a.m. the morning of May 10, as well as her last 50-plus messages were to another man, one being a selfie. That picture was proof of life. Throughout the duration of May 9 and 10, Barry's phone was pinging in odd manners. After tons of analysis, the coroner's office determined her passing was a result of homicide by unspecified means in the setting of BAM intoxication. The presence of the butorphanol metabolite was found during the autopsy, which eliminated the possibility of postmortem BAM contamination. Meaning, the substance started to metabolize before she passed. As of the making of this video, Barry has not yet entered a plea, but his attorney states that he maintains his innocence, and his two daughters stand with him. The defense is preparing for a brutal courtroom battle, as with no definitive cause of death, and a history of prosecutorial missteps, the outcome is far from certain. As the trial approaches, one question remains: will justice finally be served? Or will this case remain one of Colorado's most haunting mysteries? Our team's sincerest condolences go out to all who are grieving from this tragedy. If you found this story as gripping as we did, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what do you think really happened to Suzanne Morphew?